and welcome to Spiritual Successor, the comedy video game design podcast where we take your lovely, disgusting, awful, wonderful video game ideas and turn them into the next AAA video game titles. I am one of your hosts, Blake Rea.
And I am your other host, AJ Hart.
Hey, AJ, I got a quick thing I want to talk to you about. You know, this is because you and I have been doing this intro for a long time. You know what? You know one thing you do that is the difference of what I do, and there's audio evidence of this happening. When you intro the podcast, you say, "I'm your host, AJ Hart." I say, "I'm one of your hosts, Blake Rea." AJ.
Yeah.
This is team effort.
What?
I just want to say, okay, let's get into a quick
Well, what do you want me to do about it? I can't help the fact that I'm a narcissist, dude. That's just something about me.
All right,
you know this.
You're right.
I'm
you're
your
right.
best friend. You know I'm a narcissist. You know this about
you work by
me,
different
AJ
standards.
Hart.
You work at a different beat. You work at the beat of your own drum, and that's why I love you. That's why I care about you. But I'm saying, bro, it's a team effort. You and I built this empire, this video game empire together. And we've had some guests help us out along the way, and then they helped us too. We owe a lot too.
I mean, like, if you want, you can. I mean, do you want to try out "I'm your host"? Like, just try that out really quick. Just see the power that you get from it, and you'll see why a narcissist like me does that.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Spiritual Successor. I'm your host, Blake Rea. You're right. I do feel like my head
feels so
my
good,
head
right?
and my ego feel so strong right now.
Yeah.
I feel like I can conquer the world, and I'm gonna. AJ, let me hit me with this first video game submission. Are you okay with that?
Okay.
You okay with that? Oh, actually,
yeah. And that's the shit that you can do when you say that you're the host. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, it's your show, and you can do whatever you want.
You're right.
Now you're not walking on eggshells.
All right, cool. This is gonna make like me buying out your part of the company a lot easier. You're right. This is the prep work. This is the prep work.
Well, I do have secret shares hidden somewhere. So even if you bought all of the shares available, I still have the secret shares. So you'll never be able to outpay
AJ, wait a second. How do you think shares work? How do you think public shares work? There are no secret public shares.
Well, that's because you don't do finances like me. I do shadow financing.
Who owns what shares?
I use dark stock trading.
There's the light side and dark side of stocks. There's the light side is all the public shit. The dark side is like this, what you find on Silk Road, and is that where all of the GameStop stocks are right now? Is that why I'm not collecting any money on my stocks?
The dark stocks are like the generational wealth that you never even know about. It's stuff like, oh, I'm buying from this like digital store and I'm accidentally throwing money towards like PayPal and Coca-Cola. Like that's where the dark stocks are.
You're just throwing money into the void that is Jeff Bezos. Yeah. I get you.
I'm in the void, in the shadow stocks.
AJ's been banished to the shadow realm of stocks.
It's a real shame that I don't know more about stocks so I can make funny jokes. GME, is that anything?
If somebody owns 51% of a company, guess what? The other 49% are really unhappy now. I think that, like, legitimately, I do not know much about stocks, and I feel I should.
What's the deal with insider trading?
Post the GameStop, like, stock thing where stocks became very apparent to a lot of people. Like,
they became trendy. Let's not say apparent. We'll just say trendy.
Yeah, you're right. Apparent is not a good word. Trendy, or more in the public eye, let's say. I've been realizing, man, I know jack shit about stocks, and I wish if I did studying 2 months before that, just invest like there were some people that only had a few $100s in there, and they were walking away with thousands. I was like, God, I wish that were me right now. Oh, that could be like a car. It could be a car.
You can't drive still though, so that would just be like furniture for you.
I could look at it, man. It's like a 15-year-old buying a car before they have a license. They just look at it, they wash it in the driveway, and they just be like, hey, man, you just see anybody that's walking by your neighborhood, you just yell at them across the street, be like, hey, look at this sweet fucking 1970s clunker I bought. You can somewhat see a reflection in the mirror. Don't look at the caked areas where there's grime and shit. Look at that one little shiny area.
I'm gonna buff those out. Don't worry about it.
All right, it's my podcast.
It's
AJ,
your
give
show
me a submission.
Now, so
present a submission to me. Present unto me your genius video game idea, AJ Hart. My guest this week is AJ Hart.
This comes from the Boyland on Twitter at Nonimo31, a D&D game that doesn't suck ass. So let's think about
Baldur's Gate's pretty good. All the Baldur's Gate game. Well, They're all D&D games because they
Well,
operate.
here's the problem with Baldur's Gate. And
Yeah.
it's the problem with all Wizards of the Coast D&D things.
Mm-hmm.
It says Dungeons and Dragons, and there's always so little Dungeons and or Dragons. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the branding claiming one thing and it being another thing. You know, like D&D 5e, Wizards of the Coast is like, check out our new Dungeons and Dragons expansion. It's called the Sword Coast, and you hang out on a beach when there's sword cultists. Like, that's not dragons or dungeons. Check out our new Dungeons and Dragons expansion. You go to hell and you get cars and you do a marathon race. Okay, that's not Dungeons and or Dragons.
That's cool as fuck, though. Don't you dare. Descent into Avernus is so fucking
I don't
cool,
care
though.
if it's cool. I'm looking for what's on the tin. So here's what we need to do. We need to create a game that is just Dungeons and Dragons. Nothing else. I don't want swords. I don't want elves. I don't want orcs. I don't want none of that shit.
Okay,
I want to start with Dungeons
How about this?
and Dragons.
Okay, I want to build on something real quick here. You and I have previously done a game called Scalebound, the dating game. And the core of this is, I'm not saying this game's going to be like that. I just want to give a little context. In that game, you were the classic dragon story. It's a dragon that's hoarding shit, and they want to find a dungeon to keep all their shit that they're hoarding, like Smaug
Yeah, this
from
was
The
the
Hobbit.
real world dating app we were using as a scaly texture.
So what if you do the opposite of that? You are constantly Loop Hero-esque, where you are adjusting the environment. You are constantly building your dungeon to try and capture dragons. So you are building the coolest, not to lure them, not to romance them, to physically capture dragons and collect.
You want to do a tower
dungeon?
defense game, but you are ensnaring the dragons that come in to steal all your dope things.
You are a dungeon that hoards dragons. So you are trying to be you are trying to be the ultimate dungeon that has a dragon zoo. And there you go. So it's instead of to avoid getting sued, our asses sued
instead of Dungeons and Dragons, it is Dungeon of Dragons.
I was thinking Dragons and Dungeons. You know, because I want to go I want to go to the classic, like where it's like, oh, okay, you get the vibe, but it's different enough to where you can't get sued. So
the other stipulation we'll have to make is that it is with Z's instead of S's.
Go classic 90s, just extreme marketing.
Yeah.
Also, Lost Art. I miss a lot of extreme marketing sort of shit, and I was not a 90s kid. I was not coherent until like maybe 2003. I think that
makes you a millennial.
Yeah, it makes me a millennial. I'm a hip, trendy millennial. I drink expensive coffee and
no, you don't. You drink vanilla bean fraps because everything else is too bitter for you because you're a baby.
No, I drink caramel crunch fraps. Fuck you.
Right. They still don't have a shot of espresso in them, buddy. They're still milkshakes.
If I'm feeling adventurous, I go double shot. Does that make me cool? That make me cool, man?
Yeah, that does qualify as a coffee.
That does qualify. Okay.
So this would be a dungeon, like a tower defense dungeon building game where you are luring in dragons so that you may capture them and add them to your horde.
You're not luring
and make
them
your dungeon a little bit stronger.
I want to
this
clarify.
Reminds me a little bit of do you remember that game Boss Rush? I believe that was the card game you and I played.
Yeah, Boss Battle. I think it's just called Boss. No, it's not. Is it called Boss Battle? Boss Battle card game. God, because I love that. Because you're constantly... Okay, AJ, can you...
The concept of it is that you are building out a small little tile, like a small line of tiles. The tiles all being different cards that are shuffled around at the table. You place down different traps, different enemies, so that as adventurers that will automatically run through the... your dungeon you've created will die and they never actually get to your boss so that your boss cannot be harmed. Mm-hmm. Different bosses will have different abilities, passives, and cards available to them.
It's interesting that you bring this up because you know what would be cool as fuck? So
did I have the name right? Is it Boss Rush?
It's just Boss Battle. Boss Battle is an asymmetric RPG strategy style card game for 1 to 4 players. You bringing up Boss Battle is actually very interesting because what's one of the other things that happens in dungeons? They're thousands of years old, and as time goes on, they either deteriorate or get plundered by adventurers. So is there a world where this game is you are constantly updating and upkeeping and building up your dungeon to go actively, like maybe Howl's Moving Castle thing, collecting dragons and could there just be a thing where there are randomly generated heroes that come in and just destroy your shit? Are they like free the dragons? They come in and kill the dragon because they needed some magical spell from that dragon, and they can only get it by absorbing their soul, a la Skyrim, or maybe each section of your dungeon or your castle or whatever is dedicated to specific dragons. So an adventurer might only go to one wing of your building, or et cetera, et cetera. I'm just trying to think of like, what is something that's happening in this world that you don't have control over that could fuck up your steez while you're in the middle of hunting and collecting these sweet dragon trophies.
I love this idea of adventurers coming in, because then we have a little bit more variety, and now we can start to add in a little bit more of the Dungeons and Dragons IP. Now that we have dragons, which will always come in and try to steal all of our dope shit, but we also have heroes that will be coming in that we need to kill so that we can steal their dope things and put them in our cool horde.
What is, real quick question, what are we as the player? Are we a living sentient building? Are we a lich?
I'm thinking Monster House, but a really, really big one. Or we could do like something absolutely buck wild and be like a dragon lich or something like that. Like something real, like high fantasy, like,
You know, it'd be
the
cool
Dragon
as fuck,
Lich
actually.
Emperor.
Just legit, just trying to build like lore and shit. What if you are, as the player, a dragon that got like a powerful godlike dragon that was killed and slain, and the reason you're collecting these dragons is because if you collect, let's say you collect 100 dragons, all like over the course of the game, you can then absorb their souls and reform your body. Because you're not a good person. Like you're taking living creatures and hoarding them. Well,
you're good for dragons. I mean, dragons live on a different morality scale than human beings.
It depends. There's the colorful dragons like red, blue, and all those dragons are evil. They tend to be chaotic. But then you have metallic dragons.
I think that dragons have one rule of morality, and that is that stealing is wrong, but mugging is okay.
What? Those are the same thing.
No, because I think that a dragon that steals things like all sneakily, like a thief would, and like dishonorably.
Oh, you're right.
That
it's like,
sucks. A dragon would never pickpocket.
They want people to know that they're taking shit from them.
A dragon would catch you in a back alley and make you drop all your things before blasting you, grabbing your mother's pearl necklace and shattering it and causing you to become Batman.
Just AJ, entertain me for a second. You're in downtown New York, like you're in a tight, like garbage covered alley. It's the dead of night. There's just moonlight glistening on you as you walk down this alley, and you just see a shadow come over you, and it's a full-size fucking dragon just sitting on the apartment complex above the alley, and you think, oh shit, this dragon's gonna just shoot fire on me, and it's like, give me your wallet. And it's just like, what? Just give me. It's just this dragon taking this.
The trick with that,
small thing from you.
You're right. This is a nightmare situation. I do have a life hack for you.
Yeah, what's up?
If you pretend that you have your music in and your headphones are on, and like pretend that the dragon never gets your attention, then the dragon cannot honorably mug you, and you will be safe.
You just gotta blow
so long
off
as the
this
dragon doesn't, if you blow off the dragon and like make sure the dragon doesn't think they've ever had your attention, because like that's the difference, right? That's the difference between an honorable conquering and your things become part of their horde, and being just like a robber, which sucks. All dragons know that sucks.
You're giving real like Iskandar energy here. It's like, it's a shame that you want to look people in the face when you steal from them. Young man.
Do you know what? Hold on, I think that's how all dragons work. Like, because we know, like in the Hobbit movies, Smaug could have just eaten the little hobbit and taken the ring at any moment, but that would have meant nothing.
No,
he needed it to be dope.
I think
he needed to earn that.
I don't know. Like, I think Smaug did do that. Like, he was about to kill Bilbo, and then Bilbo like put on the ring and escaped from him. And then it went and like,
and that's what I'm saying is Smaug could have done it at any moment, but Smaug chose to do it properly.
No, I don't know, smoke conquered a whole
He's like
country.
a billion-foot dragon, and he saw a little hobbit there, and he could have just like squashed him with his tail, but he didn't. Smaug got that little hobbit's attention. It was like, "Sup, bud?" Gave him a little bit of whippy back and forth. Did a couple riddles. Called him small.
I think you're giving.
Got dunked on.
I think you're giving dragons too much credit. I think the writer knew Benedict Cumberbatch was going to voice this dragon, or were like, I want to hear his milky voice say my golden words of this script. I don't know, man. I feel there was like some different prerogatives going on in that situation.
Blake, do you have a video game for me?
I do have a video game for you.
Is it a good one?
This is a good one.
You promise?
I bring the heat this week from Jupiter Demon Streamer at Jupiter from Hell. Game that is a mix of Castlevania 2 and Monster Prom, where you have to go around collecting all of Dracula's body parts to resurrect him because the prom's tomorrow, and he is supposed to be the prom king. Encounter monsters and flirt with them to convince them to give you his bones. This gives me serious JoJo's Part 7 energy, where they like are road tripping across America to like collect the body parts of Jesus. That's a real plot, by the way.
Do we have a duty here to plug games that we know about through Kickstarter that are like the games that are pitched to us?
Oh, is that like a legit game?
Yes.
Oh shit, what game is it?
Let me just do a quick Google search. It's called Romancelvania.
Oh shit, this is awesome. Okay, what is that game about?
It's a Castlevania type game where different zones have romanceable characters. So
that's
it has
different, though.
Like it's a corner scratcher game where you run around in different like corner scratcher places will give you new NPCs that you can attempt to romance. Sorry, I just want to go ahead and throw that out there because that is within the same vein as the thing that's been pitched, and I feel like we aren't doing our proper care if we don't, service boost when available.
Yeah, I think there is some similarities there, but I do think that this game is still wholly original, primarily because you're not necessarily, all of the other people aren't dateable options. Your end goal is a very specific entity, and that's Dracula. So I think it's like playing a classic Sierra adventure game. You have to like talk to a bunch of people, solve their problems to get an item from them that you can then use that item to solve somebody else's problem, and then that's how you advance through the game to get your eventual goal of like saving your family or saving the universe, or in what's it called, that one stupid horrible game, oh god, what's his name? It's the Sierra game, but it's like the little horny dude. Laser Shoot
Larry,
where his whole thing is trying to get laid.
Man, that one's a tongue twister, huh? Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah. So
that was an old game before it was like the weird Xbox 360 game that my cousin tried to make me play.
Which one are you talking about? Because there was the Xbox 360 one, and then there was the Wii one. Leisure Suit Larry, Magna Cum Laude.
That's a pretty good name. You know what? Credit where credit's due. That's pretty clever. Hey, game recognized game.
What? Jesus Christ. And that's next Let's Play on the channel. AJ and I tackle Leisure Suit Larry, Magna Cum Laude, and that's where our career ends, AJ. So but circling back. So I'm thinking when Jupiter was saying Castlevania, I am taking that as in you have to like fight to get to different areas. And then once you finish certain areas, then there becomes a person you can talk to. And I'm wondering, what is the gameplay at that point? Does it become this pseudo dating game where it becomes its own little mini game, or does it become like an item adventure game where you have to have gotten an item from one person and then maybe you meet a person but you can't solve their problem immediately. You have to get further in the game and then come back roguelike style, not roguelike, Metroidvania-like style.
Backtrack. I believe we've redubbed those to backtrackers.
Yes. So that's right, you did. I'm happy to remember that
because Metroidvania it's too like, oh, check out these two games that no one's played. So
what are you talking about? Those are two amazing games that have like countless.
I didn't say they were bad.
But you said nobody played them.
Correct. There's lots of good games that nobody's played.
Bro, they have like Castlevania has like, if you're counting like every rendition of it, there's like fucking 12 games in that whole series. It's huge. It's a huge series. Either way,
Hey, Blake, look me in the eye. You can't do that because we're on the radio.
I'll
but
look
can
at
you
you in my mind's
actually
eye.
say that you know anybody that has played a Metroid game or a Castlevania game?
I don't know anybody, but I know I played
I
them,
can
and
confidently say that I personally do not know anybody that has played either of those two
AJ,
franchises.
I don't know anybody that's played them, but you do. You're looking at it, boyo. I've played so much Castlevania and Metroid, dude.
Oh, have you really? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
dude.
wait. The 3D action RPG one does not count. Lords of Shadows or whatever.
No,
that wasn't the name of it. The one where he became a vampire at the end.
No. I love classic Castlevania games. Like, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not too big on gameplay. I never really have liked them for that.
You just like the flavor and the tone.
I love the music, actually. The music and aesthetic. Like, classic, like,
okay, Castlevania soundtrack does pop off.
It's
I have
fucking
sat down
incredible.
and listened to it before.
Well, because that was also around the same... It was I think it was a few years before, but that was, like, also, like, Mega Man music era. Like, Mega Man 1, 2, and 3. I think Castlevania, the first one, I think was, like... Was it? It wasn't 87, was it? It's like 87, 88. Mega Man 1 was, like
I wasn't
Mega Man
around
2
back
was,
then.
like, 1991. The music was so fucking dude, it just slaps so fucking hard. I think my years are a little bit off, but I think they were around the same time. Amazing.
So
but
this video game, you're imagining it to be like a backtracker, both in the ways of like you have to go through and collect all of the pieces of Dracula, but then you also have to do all of the backtracking
you gotta
so that you
gotta
can
go down and catch all them pieces of Dracula.
Yeah, Southern Dracula.
So
dude,
you
also need to go through.
AJ, you're onto something. This is like True Blood. It's Southern vampires. It's like Southern Gothic. You're onto something there, actually.
Yeah. Of course, we need a new flavor.
Sexy
but you
Gothic.
also have to backtrack
cool.
so that you can get character relations and earn more pieces. Is that what you're proposing?
I'm imagining, okay, if we think about this in the context of the world, if a person knows they have a piece of Dracula, they're gonna be super protective about it.
They know they have a piece of Dracula.
They know they have a piece of Dracula, and they're gonna be very protective of it. So I'm trying to figure. So that kind of sets up like you need to earn these people's trust, or you need to prove yourself to them. So it'll be like everybody has their own like maybe trials to them, or some. I'm trying to figure out like.
Of course, and we can cash in on the thing that everybody loves about video games these days.
What's that?
A pacifist run and a genocide run.
Oh, so
you do one playthrough where there is two elements of backtracking, right? You go through the whole game and you do all the backtracking of a normal like Castlevania backtracker game, and you can just go through and fight all of the bosses so that you can get to the final boss, and you collect all the pieces of Dracula and you summon them.
Oh, okay.
Or you can go through the whole game talking your way through it, but then you double the amount of tracking you have to do because you have to go through the whole game to unlock everybody, and then you have to go back through the whole world again to talk to everybody.
Real quick question. Do you do a thing...
Real quick answer.
I'm trying to figure out how does that culminate in the ending, because our ending is Dracula is summoned, right? Is it what is the difference between a pacifist and a violent run? Is like the violent run you're like, I want to like Doomslayer style, I want to summon the ultimate evil so I can kill it. Or is it, if you're doing the pacifist run, I want to summon the ultimate evil so I can teach it love and make it not want to kill people. Is that, and then like, is it going from a fighting to a conversation mini game? Is like, what is that? Because Undertale gets away with it because you do the like the bullet hell dodging thing regardless, right? Even if it's a conversation versus non-conversation run. So what you're getting at here is like two very different play styles, because this is like
here's what you do instead.
Like, beat 'em up.
Because as we all know, falling in love is not a singular moment. Falling in love is, of course, all of the moments culminated, and you realize that they've all been there the whole time. If you do you can go through the game and it's just like a normal action platformer. If you do the genocide run, you get to fight Dracula at the very end. If you do the pacifist one, there is no boss fights. You don't have to fight any of the people that you're trying to convince to give you the pieces. But the platforming parts become absolutely insanely difficult. It's like Super Meat Boy Devil
Oh,
Mode
okay.
versions of these levels. You have to action platform, and every other place to stand is a chainsaw or a big grinder. So it is just agony to do the backtracking the second time through for the pacifist run.
Oh, dude. Actually, okay, I love where that's going. I want to hit you with a little zag here. So,
Uh-huh.
one thing we didn't
Zag
talk
on me.
about is like, okay, so when you start the game, you have fucking Dracula's, I don't know, left bicep or something. As the game goes on, Dracula's going to start materializing in front of you. So you're going to have this thing conversing with you. It's like Kratos carrying around that dude's head on his hip. It's just like this entity that they constantly interact with or they comment on.
Is it like that, or is it a little bit more like Lollipop Chainsaw holding her boyfriend's head on her hip?
Oh, well, but I mean, even then, like it's same concept. He's like, that's a guy that is interacting.
One's a little bit more flirty.
Well, I guess it depends on what run you're doing, because if it's like you're doing the angry run, that is strictly saying you are trying to get Dracula up so you can kill it.
Oh,
But-
so the whole game you have Dracula's head with you, and like if you're doing the genocide run, he continues to hate you and berate you with speeches about how like he's
Yes.
going to just attack you when he gets back together.
Yes,
And your
yes.
character's like, I cannot wait for you to be beat by me when I'm done putting you back together. And then the pacifist run, Dracula's got all these lines about like, you spared Wolfman.
Yeah, you're falling
you're like,
in love.
yeah.
You're falling in love together, and it's like this, and maybe there's these conversations between every major level, and those conversations differ depending on how you handled it. It's like if you did a violent run, you have like this Dracula berating you between the level. If it's a pacifist run, you have like you grow a little bit closer to Dracula. What I want to get at here is and I want to build to this one very singular moment because I think it could be so fucking powerful. Is at the final level of the game, the last piece of Dracula that you get is its hands.
Is it Dracula's heart?
No, it's his
Oh,
hands,
his
because
hands.
it's the hands that will either kill you or the hand that you're taking in marriage. So like
Romantic.
that. So it's like that's the last body part. So it's like Dracula gets its hands, and they're like, great, I now have my hands that. These hands, I can't wait to feel your throbbing like neck in my palms as I strangle you to death. But then it's like in the pacifist love run, it's like, thank you for giving me my hands. Now I wish to feel the warmth of yours and mine. Like, and just like it this really cool like symbolic like representation of like the whole journey of like the multiple uses of hands. Like
I
hands,
like that.
hands
Yeah,
can kill, but hands can love. AJ, you got a game for me?
I do.
Okay.
This comes from I Am Not Witty Enough for a Funny Name at ARP1033, Snow White Battle Royale.
Snow
Blake,
White.
Battle Royales are too big.
Uh-huh.
They're just so big now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you've got, like, Battle Royale with 100 people, Battle Royale with 50 people, Battle Royale with 20 teams of 4 or whatever. It's exhausting. And I want to go back to just some good old-fashioned free-for-all. You know what I mean? Take me back to Call of Duty World at War, or modern. Take me back to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. You know what I mean? Take me back to those good old-fashioned sandpit 1v7s. Just 8 people in one big death match.
Okay.
The problem is, of course, with Apex now being out and Overwatch and Valorant being here, we know that character shooters are all the rage. So what if we did a free-for-all 7-player battle royale with characters that are the 7 Snow White dwarfs?
Okay, I like the direction you're going, but and this is how I look at battle royales. The big thing about battle royales is that there are a lot of people. The moment you bring it like under 10, it doesn't necessarily feel like a battle royale anymore. It just feels like a battle.
It feels like
just
something
feels like
much more personal.
Yeah. Yeah, it just doesn't necessarily work for me. So what I'm suggesting here is that you operate and do a battle royale, but we go I'm going to do the thing I know you love most. We make it bigger.
I just said I want it smaller.
You're saying battle royales are too big. I'm saying they're not too big enough. Teams of 7, but each team is their own set of 7 dwarves with their own abilities, their own classes.
Yes.
Yes. So, but no. I want to throw a curveball at you. There's this great game out there where it's like a horde shooter / resource collecting game. I think it's called Deep Mine, or like miners. You're dwarves but in space, and you're like Starship Troopers.
No.
Yeah. What? You don't?
No,
you don't,
bring it down. I want to see Sleepy and Drowsy and Bashful and Grumpy and whatever the other ones that I don't remember.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that each team is its own unique set of dwarves. One team is gonna be the Snow White, Sleepy, Sneezy, and Grumpy, yada 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 yada, and then we have our 7 space dwarves, and then we have our 7 fucking like the Fire Slayers for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, which are just these kick-ass.
No, it's so much. It's so big now. No, I just want to find out who the best dwarf of the Snow White 7 dwarves are.
But then that's boring.
It's
that's
not
a
boring.
battle royale. Hey, AJ, I am setting a rule that I have not adhered to very much. We stick to the submission on this one. They said battle royale, 7 people, not battle royale.
They said
AJ.
Snow White.
AJ, 7 people? 7 people? Okay, fine. I'm still sticking to the submission. There's a Snow White team, is there not? Now I just want my deep space miners.
Okay,
I want my fire slayers.
Give me this.
Yeah.
Give me this proposition. I think you're right. I think 7 is too small. I think that the 7 dwarves don't give us enough characters to really sink our teeth into.
That's one little firefight. That's just
and
one
so
little battle.
here's what I will give you. I'll give you 8 characters. Everybody has to play as one of the dwarves, and one person gets the actually tall, capable fighter of Prince Charming, who does have a sword and shield because he killed a dragon, I think.
But that's not okay. Are you okay? Hold on. Are you trying to approach this like in Fortnite when they did the whole thing of like if you collect all the Infinity Stones, you're Thanos and you're super powerful, or et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, but one person gets to do that as Prince Charming from the very beginning.
So it's a battle royale. I mean, that becomes an asymmetric game, wouldn't it? It's like Evolve, where you have one
because it's
badass
just that
and then 4.
Prince Charming's character skills are cool sword, shield, being very handsome and cool, and being a prince. Sleepy's skills are things like sleep and snore. Well, maybe he gets cast a spell. You know what I mean? I just want to play with.
I feel like their powers are very straightforward.
For
it's
the
in
Snow
their name. But what I'm getting at is how do you prevent that from becoming all 7 dwarves up against Chad Prince Charming?
Because we're gonna balance it, dude. You're rolling your eyes right now, being like, Sneezy's not that difficult. Actually, Sneezy is. He's the only one with a form of crowd control. Sneezy can bounce people off of cliffs and ledges.
I think you are on separate pages here. No, I'm not arguing that Sleepy or Sneezy can't be powerful characters. I'm all for that. But what I'm getting at is how will that not become a game where all of the dwarves team up and go up against the player Prince Charming?
Well, they'll have to fight all of the other dwarves too. There will be some matches where they do team up. I mean, that's just what happens in free-for-all type games. I
think you need to do a little bit more. I think there needs to be... Okay. I think there needs to be, my primary issue with this is there needs to be an increase in the amount of playable characters. So let's look at everything from Snow White. You have Snow White herself, you have the 7 dwarves, so that's 8. You have Prince Charming, you have Maleficent. No, it's not Maleficent, that's a different one. Who's
that's Sleeping Beauty.
Who's it's not the Wicked Witch, because that's the Wizard of Oz. God, what's her name?
Is the evil queen. Is it just the evil queen? The one that's like, oh, I'm not hot enough, even though she's absolutely like a goth MILF?
Yeah.
And then she turns herself into an old biddy.
Yeah.
Which,
okay.
I ain't judging.
So that's 9, and then you have her crow, which is, I think his name's Satan, which is pretty awesome.
The crow was also for Maleficent. Come on now.
What?
But God. I'll give you the apple or the huntsman.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The huntsman was a playable character. Also, a horde of little forest creatures. Instead of one entity, it's just a fucking, just this horde, wasp style, collection of animals that come in and just eat you to shreds. Yeah,
And then
into
the
that.
spooky trees. I think that puts us at a roster of 12. I think that's what Overwatch launched with. This is a workable,
You
batch of characters.
You can't use Overwatch as an example because it's not a battle royale.
But Overwatch is a character-based shooter, which is what I'm looking at primarily. It's an action-based shooter, free-for-all game. We're just gonna put the word battle royale on there because they're basically synonymous at this point.
Oh shit, you're
because
right.
a battle royale
I didn't think about
is just
that.
a big free-for-all.
I didn't think about false advertising. That's right. That is a core brand principle.
You always got to remember false advertising.
Yeah,
it's
right.
always an option for us, Blake.
Yeah, you're right.
That's been in our toolbox since day one.
You know, AJ, if this episode has taught me anything, I need to start thinking about other people other than myself. I should not be saying, welcome to my podcast. I'm your host, because I think I got a little bit egotistical, AJ. I got a little bit egotistical, and I was just thinking about what I wanted and what I thought was good, and I apologize for that. And I hope
you're just not as used to thinking and being as right and cool and funny and handsome as me all the time. It takes work.
Right.
It takes practice to be this great.
I do often compare myself to you and how just fucking cool and handsome you are.
And you know what? You need to start comparing yourself to you, brother.
Yeah, you're right. That's not going to develop into a festering. And
why don't you go ahead and prove to me that you're worth you? Give me a game.
That's like the opposite of like fucking communists, like believe in the me that believes in you. It's like, no, show me how good you are to yourself.
Yeah.
Show me your worth to yourself. Okay, this one comes to us from.
I take my shirt off, reveal my cool back tattoo, and tell you, prove to me that you know you.
And you just have like a fucking sword that just keeps expanding out of the sheath, just for no reason.
Well, my back tattoo is just a big sword.
It's just your face, just you posing. It's like
my back tattoo is just a face of. It's just me striking a pose.
Yeah, it's just you doing like a JoJo's ass pose on your own fucking back.
That's the greatest back tattoo imaginable.
You want to see my tattoo? It's a tattoo of the greatest man I've ever known. And you just take off your shirt. It's just fucking you.
Man, the next Yakuza game is looking great. Like, give me a submission.
This one comes to us on Twitter from Alley Cat at Millennium Hoo Ha. Sonic Team finally releases a new game, but all that is known about it before release is the title Shadowboxing. AJ, it's been a long time since we've had a nice edgy Shadow game, and I want to do a thing.
It really has.
AJ, Shadow's down on his luck. He's down on his luck. You know what? Maybe he's got a little bit of a problem. He's like got some financial debt going, and he's like started up a little boxing gym all of his own, and he's trying to run away from the things that he knows. He's trying to run away from his speckled past, but you know what? He can't stay quiet any longer. He sees Sonic.
He's still haunted by the ghost of Maria.
I don't know who Maria is, but yeah, sure.
That's fine. All the Shadow the Hedgehog stands out there are giving me a round of applause for that one. Thank you, Shadow Nation. I love you too.
Is there a lot of people really into Shadow?
Is there a lot of people that like Shadow the Hedgehog? Yeah, go ahead and Google Shadow the Hedgehog Rule 34 and tell me that a lot of people don't love Shadow the Hedgehog.
I feel like most of the people who like Shadow like him ironically, because he's the edgiest fucker around. Dude, he's a hedgehog with a gun. Like, I can't picture liking that objectively. I can only look at that and I'm like, you're the stupidest dude I've ever seen. So I have no idea where Shadow fans lie, and I don't know if I just ostracize myself from a
They
whole
lie
community.
Right here in my heart. I love you, Shadow Nation.
They live rent free. The whole community in your brain. So okay. Is there a way we can do some sort of boxing themed game for Shadow? And I want to lean hardcore into this. One of the things that remember there was that little phase of Sonic games where they were like going into hard fantasy, where it was like Sonic and the Secret Rings, and that was like very much powered by like Arabian Nights, or actually it's not Arabian Nights. It was there's another
the Canterbury Tales.
Well, that was a separate game. That was the Black Knight, AJ.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, you're telling me that there's one for the Canterbury Tales and then one for
like
the
1001 Nights, like Arabian Nights, were like the story of genies and Arabic folklore. Yes, there are
Oh shit.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, there's Sonic and the Secret Ring is the one where he gets like the sweet ring that gives him, I guess, fire powers or whatever. And then there's Sonic at the Black Knight, which I think Shadow does show up in, because I remember seeing him with a big ass like metal sword. Not like metal as in like material, but
So
metal
what was
as
the
in,
core
like,
of your
heavy
question before we got distracted thinking about Sonic history?
I want to lean hardcore into some sort of, we should take some sort of fantasy world where boxing happens. And you know where they haven't touched Asia? They haven't touched Egypt. I want Shadow the Hedgehog to be going into a boxing match, climbing through all of the Egyptian gods that are out there to become the one true pharaoh, because I feel like that's the edgiest thing that he could do. And it feels like it works. Yeah?
Can I propose to you something?
Yeah, what's up?
And by propose, I mean I need you to Google something for me really quick. Could you just go ahead and Google Sonic the Fighters?
Sonic the Fighters. Wait, is this a boxing game?
Now, this is a Sonic fighting video game that was real, is a real game, is out there.
It's just I mean, this is not a boxing game. This is like like Tekken or Street Fighter. It's like two people.
It definitely is more of a Street Fighter, Tekken type. You know, it has those tight hitboxes just like Tekken. In a lot of ways, Tekken is standing in Sonic the Fighter's shadow, if you really think about it.
Sonic Fighters doesn't have Shadow, by the way, which bad game, admittedly.
Well, that's where we come in. It does have a cool polar bear character and like a little like green bird, I think, but different than the green bird that had an air skateboard. So,
are you saying this is the game that takes
there's
place?
There's precedent for us to bring back. There's precedent for Sonic fighting video games, which I think is just a real breath of fresh air for us to know that we can return to Sonic's real roots finally, because that's something the Sonic IP is always too scared to do.
Well,
so we can go back to Sonic's roots and make a fighting game for Shadow the Hedgehog. I'm uncertain how I feel about an Egypt-based fighting game.
Boxing
You're right, an Egypt-themed boxing game. Mainly because I don't know if the two of those things intersected historically, and I don't know that I could do any jokes about it without coming off as like somehow offensive.
Okay. I was about to say, like, I see where you're coming from, and
Can we instead
I'm totally
bring
fine.
Shadow the Hedgehog to the American industrialization age, you know?
So,
steam-powered trains, people drinking absinthe, and people boxing in the underside of bars like Sherlock Holmes. I know.
Okay. I like the direction you're going with. I think us dropping the Egyptian
I want to bring
right
Shadow the Hedgehog boxing in the underbelly, dirty, grimy city of the Bronx, baby.
So there's this movie that came out that had, who's the guy that plays Venom now? That guy, it's not Army Hammer. That guy was in a boxing movie where he was like, I think it's just called
The Fighter. Oh, we love The Fighter here.
It's the
one where him and his brother are off, or they're like on dire straits because their dad like is back in their life for one of them, and he's not back in the life for the other one.
No. What I'm talking about, I think it's called Bronson is the name of the movie. And yeah, Bronson, from 2008, and it stars what's his name? Tom Hardy. Basically, it's just a guy.
Does The Fighter not also star Tom Hardy?
Yeah, it stars Tom Hardy. I mean, he's a big beefy dude, so I wouldn't be surprised if he starred in multiple movies about fighting. So.
No, The Fighter is Christian Bale and Mark Wahlberg. What the fuck?
Very different. Very, very different people.
Yeah.
So what I'm suggesting is Bronson is very similar to that. It takes place in the underbelly of underground boxing rings, where it's just like people would bet. There's like you go out to the barn and like have a fight, and then the people are placing money and just betting it all on these just underground fighting things. Do you want to go that route where like we have And you know what we could do too? This is the story. This is the reason.
Yes, I absolutely want to do that because like the narrative story of this game will then take Shadow the Hedgehog into the Undercity like back alley brawling like scenes of people and big
That's where he
pens
thrives,
like
man.
cheering while they punch people.
Yeah.
And then I want you to imagine Shadow the Hedgehog leaving the underground ring and going upstairs and hanging out in some old school bar where a burlesque show is happening in the background, but we can't have like it's for a kids game or it's an E10 and up game, so like it's just a bunch of characters in
It's
like
just
pretty
robots
dresses and
doing
like
burlesque. That's how you get away with it.
Yeah, it'll be robots doing burlesque, and like we as people playing the game will know that Shadow the Hedgehog is probably getting lap dances like on the off hours, but like we can't say that Shadow the Hedgehog is getting lap dances on the off hours.
Wait,
you know what I mean?
Weird question. Just to fucking just throw a weird sag on this, because you and I love hybrid games. What if this is a bar management game, but you also are trying to get your bar to be like the biggest underground boxing place around? So every night,
Shadow the Hedgehog is boxing champion by night and also bar owner by night.
but that's
Sleeps by day.
But no. But that makes sense though, because he's like, how do you drum up business for your dying bar? You got to supply the entertainment. What better entertainment than putting yourself in the ring? Putting like, man, did you hear about this bar owner who like fights any patron who comes to? He'll put money down for you to he'll bet on the fight that he's in against you, and he'll fight you.
Yes. I have the story for you.
And that's the only income you get, because you don't make income as a barkeep or whatever.
Yeah,
It's like,
the bar money you make is very little in relation to the combat money you'll make.
Yes.
So here's how the actual story works. Shadow the Hedgehog uses chaos control and goes back in time on accident. Loses his memory. He's now trapped in the olden times and has struck up a bar and has this underground fighting ring. You play as Shadow the Hedgehog now. We, the player, know that she is Shadow the Hedgehog, who belongs in a different timeline. Shadow the Hedgehog does not know this. We see Shadow the Hedgehog's friends, you know, the robot that I don't remember the name of, the bat that I don't remember the name of,
Rouge the Bat, and I would
Sonic,
think you to
Knuckles,
remember.
and Tails
Wait,
and company.
Real quick.
All of them are coming back in time to try to get Shadow the Hedgehog to remember who he is so that he can come back into the future where he belongs.
Real quick question. Did you know Shadow losing his memory is a thing in the Sonic games, right? Which
yes. In Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, he lost his memory and he's slowly
Sonic
being reminded
All-Stars.
and haunted by the memories of. I had her name earlier. I can't believe I forgot it already.
Oh, the one lady you mentioned that I had no idea. But yeah, no,
Maria!
Like what's
again.
so fucking funny about this is that him losing his memory is wholly canon in many times, because he lost his memory in that game. He also lost his memory in Sonic All-Stars, like the team-based game where he's like, you had like Team Dark, which was like him, Rouge the Bat, and the robot. Did
Rouge the Bat and the robot remember?
They remember who they are, but Shadow doesn't. He lost his memory. I don't know if it was because of the Chaos Gem. So the fact that it's just so funny to me that a game series will not, like some person losing their memory is not something that happens multiple times in a game's lore. It's just like they lost it once and then it's there, and then it's the story of them remembering or redeeming themselves or whatever. It's like, no, Shadow has lost his memory multiple times according to this conversation. Yeah. So that's just the funniest fucking thing. So he uses the Chaos Gems, he gets thrown back in time, and basically stumbles into owning this bar.
He's like a Prohibition era bar owner, right?
Yes.
CD alcohol sales, CD underground fights, CD burlesque shows.
Yeah, and he's God, it has to be so fucking edgy. It's like that scene in Sherlock Holmes.
We're gonna make another ESRB rating. It's gonna be E12 and up.
On the box, when it you know that little box next to the ESRB for like cartoon violence or blood or whatever, it's just like robot burlesque shows. It'll be like,
it'll say robot burlesque show, and then underneath it will say Shadow the Hedgehog, you know the deal. Because it's gonna have all the things we affiliate with Shadow the Hedgehog. It's gonna have guns. It's gonna have cusses, but only the light cusses.
It's gonna have sweet like turn of the century guns that are like still kind of like leaning towards flintlock, or it's like ball and cap like sort of guns. It's gonna look like the Prestige basically, like that kind of look. God, that's so fucking dumb. And I'm just picturing like the opening cinematic, like the opening cinematic before it does like, how did I get here? It's just like him in a fight in a boxing thing, and as soon as he wins the fight, he does the thing that Robert Downey Jr. does. After he wins his fight, he grabs just a bottle of wine and grabs the cork with his mouth and just pops it right there. And you're just like, whoa,
yes, and he walks
what
upstairs.
the hell is happening?
Yeah, this rules.
This game does fucking rule, actually. I'm so excited about this. Okay. We're coming up towards the end. We gotta decide our nug.
This is it. This is the nug. I want to flush this out a little bit more.
Okay. So
you
what is
propose the idea that like the day-night cycle, like we are getting more money through the fights than we do the actual like maintenance of the bar. I think that what this comes down to is what we all love about Sonic the Hedgehog's games, and that is that there's so much useless shit in it. So there will be menus upon menus of like bar customization and bar min-maxing, and by the end of the day, you'll get like $12 out of it, and it won't help you progress the story in any way, shape, or form.
$12 in like 1900s money, I think is a lot of money. That's like a few $100s.
I don't know about inflation. Who do I look like, an economist?
Okay.
All of the actual story comes from the fighting games, the fighting like stuff that comes in over and over and over. Perhaps we can add in some sort of light RPG element where like the numbers go up so you can continue to fight more people over the night as Shadow the Hedgehog.
Well, here's the thing.
Because I think that the story does come in the form of new friends showing up, trying to say, "Hey, Shadow, I remember you," and he says,
how about this?
Long cigarette drag. I ain't heard that name Shadow in a long time. It was written on my shoes when I got here. I don't know what that name means.
What's the most fucking like? What's edgier than Shadow? You know what he does? It feels so Shadow-esque where he's
it's like Spike or some shit.
No, it's Scar. It's fucking Scar because it's like what he's like. He just can't get rid of the edge. It's just innate, even though his memory's gone. He's like,
and now he has a big scar over one eye because he had such a bad like teleporting problem accident.
Here, stick with me on this. Stick with me on this. This is how I think the gameplay loop or the climb should be. He's not the only one that got teleported into the past and lost their memory. Every single major like Sonic hero got teleported into the past too, and they all became their own boxers in their own way or whatever. And over the course of the game, each one of them finds their way to this bar to challenge our Shadow. So it'll be like the first one you go up against, let's say it's fucking Amy shows up and she's like just ripped. She's like absolutely just insanely ripped. And you find out like after you defeat her, and this could be a little bit, just the ass kicking is what jogs their memories. And that they start remembering things, but you don't because you never lose a fight, right?
Yeah, because you never lose a fight. So how can you have your memory jogged if you're always kicking ass?
Yes. So, and they only show up when you reach certain bar ratings. So it'll be like, hey, and maybe we can judge that by like, hey, every night you make an average of like, a few $100s in today's money, and then Amy shows up. You start making a couple $100 more than that. Then Tails shows up, and then Knuckles, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
But then, like, once you've jogged their memories and they realize that they want to help out, they take a job at the bar, so they add to, like, the useless menus of the game, right? Like, you get Tails, and all of a sudden Tails like, all right, I'll go ahead and go work back behind the counter.
I'll be your janitor or whatever, because I have all my Tails.
I'll be your, like, I'm going to be your mixologist, dude. I'm going to serve the best drinks in this place, in this town, baby.
You know what could also be really cool too? What if we do this game to where Sonic becomes like a legitimate bad guy? So Sonic loses his memory too. Guess what he becomes? He becomes a fucking officer. And he's coming here to bust up your underground ring.
Sonic would be a cop.
Sonic, the boys in blue. Instead of gotta go fast, gotta go to jail.
Stupid.
It's so stupid. But yeah,
I hate Cop Sonic.
And that's how we need to. We have to. I want to play the game like how I feel Shadow looks at Sonic. Shadow looks at Sonic as like this inferior, like it's his enemy. It's his mortal enemy.
Yeah.
So we should lean into that and actually make Sonic like the bad guy, you know. And maybe what we can do over the course of this game is like, we can either go this one of two ways. This could be about Shadow discovering his own humanity and being an actually good person, or
I'm going to propose to you this. I think that Shadow the Hedgehog ends up meeting all of these people. I don't think his memory ever comes back. We're going to pivot Shadow the Hedgehog for the whole Sonic IP. By the end of this story, Shadow the Hedgehog does knock the memory and sense back into everybody else around him, but he doesn't ever lose, so he never gets his memories back. But he has always felt like an outsider. That is because he's a 4-foot tall hedgehog in a world where everybody else is just a mobster. And so because of this, he sees all of these other fun animal companions, Amy, Tails, the big alligator man, Rouge the Bat, just a robot. And he starts to be like, I guess I have to trust these people because they're like me and they seem to care about me a lot. So if they say that I don't belong in this timeline, I don't know if they're right, but I do know that I want to be around them.
That's
so we're
by the
going
end.
back
That's
to the
by
future.
the end of the game. I don't think
That's
that their
by the
memory,
end of the game.
Their memory comes back gradually. I think it's like as more people come to the bar and start working, they'll be like, oh, hey, this person I work with, like, for some reason I feel like I know them, and then that starts kickstarting memories. It's like, the knockout that they get when they lose the fight to Shadow is what gets the ball rolling.
Hey,
it's
what does this game actually play like in the fights? Is it like
it plays like Wii boxing, bro. Like you have the two, control.
Okay, cool. So that's Switch exclusive.
So you're doing it on the Switch, and you have to like manually pump it, like you're boxing.
Yes, of course.
And okay, so that's like what the boxing gameplay looks like. How can we make this? Because this isn't like the number one game we always use, like as an example, is Moonlighter. This isn't necessarily about selling like beer. I mean, is like, what is the shop management
is like,
look like?
You will have all of these menu options that really will surmise to nothing other than being ways that you can talk to your companions. You can go in and do like the resource management of telling Tails what things you can and can't put behind the bar for the night. Yeah. It will not affect anything. You can go to Amy and help select a track list for the music that will play at the bar for the night, and you'll see like all of these numbers change. They will not be attached to anything. They will be useless menus with no actual like feel to them, but you will be able to toggle things and make things change. Well, how about this? Just to entertain the kids that pick up the game and don't realize that it means nothing.
No. It does mean something.
But most importantly, it's there to infuriate people and remind everybody that they are playing a Sonic the Hedgehog game, and we have consciously not thought half of this game through.
Well, this is what I think. It's that it's not like different items give you different abilities, and it's about like trying to farm specific things, et cetera, et cetera. It's not that. It's just each upgrade counts towards your overall rating. So it'll be like, hey, your first upgrade is like you're no longer cutting the whiskey with like 50% water. It's not like now you can serve full whiskey, or like, hey, you now can serve cider, not just regular old ale, and then that contributes like your bar rating goes up by a star.
It's just like the number goes up. It's just like a quick toggle. Yes, I would like to go up one.
And then there's and just to add a little bit of extra fun, maybe it can be like your budget goes up, and like every day you can like remodel the bar a little bit. Like you can buy different seats. You can really make it your own. Like you could do like a gothic themed bar. You can do just a garage
at the beginning it
bar.
Looks like some ye old saloon with like buckets for seats, and by the end of it looks like a Fortune 500 like fancy Broadway production.
Yeah, it's
play.
like it's well lit. There's not puddles on the floor. It's
it's got big red drapes everywhere. The floor is gold.
Yeah, and then it's just like, and maybe acquiring new people gives you like that. What I'm picturing the gameplay loop looks like, it's like you have just a bunch of like small time fights where it's like just unmemorable characters, and then a named character comes up, and then once you defeat the named character, or sorry, here let me go back a little bit. The unnamed characters, where it's just like the fight of the night is just how you generate profit, and then like every 10 fights or so, or once you reach a certain buy enough upgrades, it unlocks a named fight, And then that named fight, once you beat it, unlocks a new story. It unlocks new things to start saving up for and buy, like new different kinds of alcohol, different kinds of lighting, different kinds of security, different kinds of, like, it changes. Also, one thing we didn't think about, what does the ring look like? I'm imagining at the beginning of the game, it's just a dirt pit in your basement, right? By the end of the
ring
game,
will upgrade as you upgrade like the rest of the place. Like if you upgrade the lighting, it'll upgrade the lighting. If you upgrade the guardrails, it'll upgrade the guardrails.
You can
I
design
don't want to do too much. I don't want to do too much like personalization because again, this is a Sonic the Hedgehog game and it will be kind of shady. That's just how it works, baby.
Okay. All right. Okay. What do we call this? Really
What
quickly,
was the name submitted?
Let me. What do you mean the name submitted?
What was the submission? Was there a name in the submission?
I don't believe so. Let me double check really quick. Sonic Team finally releases a new game, but all that is known. Oh, it's just called Shadow Boxing. Duh, you're right. It was
Shadow.
named, I'm a
Shadow
foolish
Boxing.
Shadow Boxing.
But it's done with like the Shadow the Hedgehog video game font with like the silly S and everything.
Why don't we call it Shadow the Hedgehog?
What if we just called it Shadow the Boxer?
No, I was thinking I just think it would just be so funny to include a title that has Shadow in it twice. It's like Shadow the Hedgehog, Shadow Boxing, and I'm like, it's just
that rules actually. That owns bones. It's Shadow the Hedgehog Shadow Boxing now.
It's just what's edgier than Shadow in the name? Shadow twice.
Shadow in there 2 times is way edgier. Yeah.
God, but then I turn around and be like, fucking, what's it called? Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is like the coolest, like one of the coolest, not edgiest titles around.
It could have been Shadows Die Twice, but they weren't cool like us.
They were brave enough. They were brave enough to do a Shadow the Hedgehog.
They weren't
Soulsborne
brave
game.
enough.
All right, are we ready for patch notes? I think that's a game.
Yeah, let's go to patch notes. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Patch Notes. As always, thank you all so much for listening. But today I've got a request from you. Not really a request, actually, more of an offer. See, I know our audience more than anybody because I am, again, so smart and wise and cool and handsome and all-knowing.
This is your podcast,
and I know that deep in your couch cushions, dear listener, you probably got $2. You probably got $2 kicking around in those couch cushions. Yeah. Couch cushions that you sit on every month.
Maybe underneath your car. Like underneath your car
maybe
seat,
under your car.
You know, got a couple quarters.
Oh, the car seat definitely has $2. It always does.
Mm-hmm.
And
what are those $2 for?
If you get those $2, yeah, that's the obvious question. What do you do with $2? Well, I have the perfect solution for your new $2 that need a home. You could go over to patreon.com/spiritual successor podcast, and you could throw those $2 to Papa Blake and AJ.
Yeah, dude. And if you are willing to join our Patreon, there's a couple of benefits there. We do a monthly game night with our Patreon where we get on a voice call on our Discord and we stream some games. I think our next game night is going to be playing the new Among Us Airship update. So if you want to come check that out, there's more info on our Patreon. But other than that, we also do boss fights. There are some games that we can use boss fights, some games that we can't. But what that means is...
And some games we just simply forget about it because we're on a time crunch.
Yeah. But outside that, you get early access to art. You get... we basically ask questions with our Discord all the time of like, what are they looking for? What are some of the...
Yeah, it's a lovely community. People are always plugging each other new games to play. I think that I've gotten more new games from this Discord alone than any other like group chat that I've been a part of before.
That's how I found out about Loop Hero, was because of our Discord, actually. Like, I found out about, like, you and the Discord approached me on the same day talking about that game, and I was like, oh man, I gotta play that game now.
It's a good game. It's a good Discord with good taste.
Yeah, we have a super really cool, like a super really awesome. God, how many adjectives can I pack into that? But it's a really
super really awesome tubular dope group of people.
Yes,
and you should come check it out if you got $2 kicking around those car cushions.
Extreme marketing of the 1990s. I want that shit to come back. I want to see Surge commercials again. Surge commercials, but for podcasts, to be like, all right, here, let me do my best one.
Yeah.
$2 pays for the seat, but you're only gonna need the edge on Spiritual Successors Patreon. Boom, 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 explosion, explosion, big lights. Guess what? Nothing's cooler than being on the Spiritual Successor Patreon, because you got to say the name over and over again to really sell
over
it.
and over and
G.I.
over
Joe Sigma 6.
until I feel embarrassed about how much you're saying it, and now I want the ad to end.
AJ, I learned from watching you, man. Like this is my podcast. I have to have that blind arrogance. Like I'm just doing what you taught me. I gotta put myself out there and do it so much to where my narcissism, everybody can see it. I learned from watching you.
You want to see something else you can do with with the power of narcissism?
What's that?
You can end the show. As always, our intro and outro is Cheap Shot by Anna Monoguchi, an excellent song from an excellent band for an excellent game. I've been your host, AJ Hart.
And I've been your host, Blake Rea. See,
This has been Spiritual Successor. You're doing it. Yeah, did it feel better?
Yeah, and this was Spiritual Successor, and these are cool games that should not be made. This is my pocket, my outro, mine.